I remember the way she grinned when she fired me, like she just won the HOA presidency for life and a lifetime supply of pearl necklaces. Not the words, not the syrupy for the good of the community speech she practiced in her bathroom mirror. No, just that self-satisfied little smirk on Patricia Hargrove's face as she stood on her perfectly painted porch at 11:47 p.m., clipboard in one hand, saying, "Thank for the app. Dear, we're simplifying things for everyone." Like I had gift-wrapped 9 months of my life so she could slap her name on the login screen and call it her vision. Then the cherry on top, Pinecrest Estates deserves better. Best of luck. And just like that, my admin access to the Harmony portal vanished. The community app, one built from scratch, the one that tracked violation reports, auto-sent dues reminders, scheduled block parties, and even let residents appeal stupid fines, hijacked, rebranded Hargrove Harmony, and my name scrubbed from the footer before I even made it back to my driveway. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't say a damn word. I just looked her dead in the eye, nodded once like I was mentally engraving the moment for later, and walked away. On the inside of my home office door, there was a post-it I'd slapped up 2 weeks earlier after another all-nighter fixing the violation database bug that kept flagging my own mailbox for non-approved color. One word scrawled in Sharpie. Pizza. I smiled at it for the first time in days. She never noticed. Of course she didn't. If you're hearing this, and you're one of those people who listens to HOA horror stories without smashing that subscribe button, do it now. It keeps these tales of suburban tyranny alive. Like the video too, it really helps. Back in my driveway, the October air hung heavy with that post-rain fog that sticks to your skin like unpaid HOA fines. I didn't even get in the car at first. Just leaned against the door, watching the warm glow from Patricia's perfect bay window flicker like it was mocking me. My name had never been on any founder plaque at the annual meeting, but that app breathed in my code. Every violation notice carried my wording. Every appeal button was my muscle memory turned into pixels. I was the damn thing. Yet she thought because I showed up in jeans instead of twin set, and because I once dared suggest maybe the grass must be exactly 2.5 inches rule was a tad psychotic. I didn't know the value of what I'd built. She had no idea I'd planned for this exact betrayal weeks earlier, buried deep in the deployment pipeline like a polite little landmine. One invisible condition. No alerts, no flags, just a single line of logic. If my admin credentials ever read false, replace the live demo payload with alt_demo_01 MP4. That file? A gloriously dumb, full-screen looping GIF of a spinning pepperoni pizza from 1997 pixel quality. Hypnotic, cheesy, dripping grease in slow motion. Harmless on the surface. Hilarious in context. And legally bulletproof because the demo payload lived in a separate cloud bucket licensed under my own LLC with a time-stamped invoice she'd never seen. So tomorrow at exactly 9:01 a.m., right when Madam President clicks launch in front of the entire neighborhood and the local real estate agents she invited to justify another fee hike, the system would do exactly what I told it to. It wouldn't crash. It wouldn't glitch. It would run perfectly, just not her version. Mine. And it would open with that greasy spinning slice and close with my name in tiny white text like a quiet middle finger wrapped in marinara. I woke up without an alarm the next morning, which felt illegal after months of 4-hour sleep and 12-hour caffeine benders. My body had finally exhaled. By 7:10 a.m., I was already tucked into a corner booth at the Oak Diner 3 blocks from the community center, the same place the Block Watch group used to meet before Patricia turned neighborly bonding into mandatory attendance with sign-in sheets. The waitress, Betty, poured my coffee without asking. The usual, eyes kind, like she already knew I'd crawled out of a suburban crime scene. Double pancakes, extra bacon, no egg. I cracked open my laptop. The countdown sat in the corner of the screen, 1 hour 49 minutes and 12 seconds. 90 minutes until launch. Across town, I knew Patricia was already pacing in her stupid monogram flats, rehearsing in the mirror like a homecoming queen about to steal someone else's crown. I bet she'd practiced that my vision for Pinecrest speech until her voice went hoarse. The real estate agents were being ushered into the community hall right now. I recognized the setup from the leaked group chat screenshot one of the newer moms had posted before Patricia threatened her with a decorum violation. Long folding tables, 50 resident chairs, and that massive projector screen at the front like some kind of HOA altar. And on that altar, my app, my code, my sleepless nights. But today it was hers, or so she believed. I sipped my coffee and watched the timer drop while syrup slid across the pancakes like time itself melting. I pictured the supportive neighbors already seated, especially young mom Lisa, the one who always asked the smart questions and got shushed with a smile. I'd mentored her on the appeal system. She'd seen the logs. She'd noticed what didn't get replaced when Patricia streamlined. I bet she even tried to warn someone this morning. The diner TV droned on about some fluff piece on fall decorating. I ignored it. My eyes stayed glued to the countdown. 47 minutes and 39 seconds. Betty dropped off my food. Big day, she asked. Something like that, I said, cutting into the stack. Down the street, the hall lights were dimming. Patricia was clearing her throat, probably about to launch into the speech she stole from my old proposal notes. Our vision is harmonious living. She never even asked what it meant. She just highlighted it in yellow and called it hers. I forked another bite, pulled my hoodie sleeve back, and watched the screen. 9 minutes. I leaned back, wiped syrup from my fingers, and clicked open the hidden camera feed one of the newer residents had accidentally left public on the neighborhood Slack. It showed the projector glowing against the dark hall. Patricia's hand hovered dramatically over the laptop, like she was about to christen a yacht. She clicked the key. The screen blinked. Then pizza. The entire community hall went dead silent. The kind of silence that smells like fresh coffee, cheap folding chairs, and collective mortgage regret. Patricia stood center stage in her pastel cardigan and pearls. Spotlights bathing her in that sterile glow that makes even the most self-important look like a mannequin on clearance. Behind her, the projector loomed, black for half a second, then full screen, high contrast, low-resolution glory. A single spinning slice of pepperoni pizza twirling endlessly in the middle of the screen like a greasy middle finger to every ridiculous fine sheet ever issued. No dashboard, no violation tracker, no duas portal, just pizza, my pizza. And in the lower right corner, faint as a watermark on a forged check, demo environment powered by Sarah Thompson LLC, invoice 100001. You could hear a single HOA violation notice drop. Someone in the back row, old Mr. Jenkins, who'd been fined 3 times for his American flag, stifled a laugh that came out like a cough. Then another chuckle. Then 3 more. Not because it was funny, but because they realized what was supposed to happen didn't. I saw Patricia freeze in real time. Her Botox smile stayed plastered a second too long, like she thought this was a glitch someone else would fix. Seconds ticked. Her finger stabbed escape. Nothing. Control plus Q. Nothing. Alt plus tab. Still nothing. That slice just kept spinning, cheese dripping in hypnotic rhythm, mocking every aesthetic integrity speech she'd ever given. The board chair stood up slowly. Chair legs scraped the floor like nails on a chalkboard. "What in heaven's name is this?" he asked. Voice flat, but eyes pure panic. Patricia tried to speak, but only managed to squeak. This isn't." She mashed the keyboard again. The screen blinked black, reloaded, and the pizza loop returned. Even slower this time. Extra cheese, pull for emphasis. By now I'd pushed my plate aside and pulled the laptop closer. The embedded telemetry was flawless. No errors. The system obeyed its instructions perfectly if credentials revoked. Load Alt_demo. A real estate agent in the front row closed his notebook with a snap. Another grabbed his coat. Lisa, the young mom I trained, stood up clutching a folder, voice quiet but steady. It's not a glitch. It's the failover condition. Sarah built it that way. If her admin access is removed, the demo defaults to this payload. It's been in the pipeline since launch. Patricia's face went the color of skim milk. Not angry milk. Not confused milk. The exact shade of a woman realizing she just stepped barefoot onto a legal landmine wearing her favorite Tory Burch flats. This is sabotage, she hissed. Loud enough for the back rows to hear. But Lisa shook her head. No one touched the system after you revoked her access yesterday. Logs are clean. This is the default now. The chuckles turned into full laughter. Mr. Jenkins actually slapped his knee. Well, I'll be damned. Finally, something entertaining at these meetings. Someone else yelled, "Does the pizza come with a side of mind your own lawn?" The real estate agents started texting furiously. One mom in the middle row held up her phone, recording the whole thing. The projector kept spinning. Grease trails pixelated like they were coated in 9 months of quiet revenge. Back at the diner, I nearly applauded when Betty slid me a refill and raised an eyebrow. Big win. You could say that, I said, sipping slow. On my screen, the chaos escalated. Patricia yanked the HDMI cable like it had personally betrayed her. Plug it back in. Pizza reloaded. Slower. Almost taunting. Someone tried a backup laptop. Still pizza. The board chair's face had gone from concerned to, "I'm updating my resume," in under 90 seconds. By now, the murmurs had turned into open conversation. She built the whole thing, and they just kicked her out? Remember when Patricia fined Sarah for her holiday lights being too festive last year? This is what happens when you let one Karen run the asylum. Patricia's pearls looked like they were choking her. She kept smiling that tight. Polite smile. The one she used right before slapping someone with a $250 fine for inappropriate garden gnomes. But the smile was cracking. I closed the feed, finished my pancakes, and leaned back. The timer hit 0. Showtime was over, and the real show had just begun. The emails started flooding my LLC inbox before I even left the diner. 3 reporters from the local suburban rag. 2 ex-neighbors who'd suddenly remembered they always liked me. And 1 anonymous tip with a subject line, "Heads are rolling in Pinecrest." Attached was a forwarded thread from Patricia herself. Passive-aggressive corporate speak dialed to 11. It appears MS. Thompson may have introduced unauthorized logic into the demo system. Investigating breach vectors. Possible grounds for litigation. Litigation. Goo. What she didn't realize, and what Lisa was apparently very happy to clarify in the group chat, was that the logs were airtight. I hadn't touched a single line since the second she revoked my access. The last authorized push was clean. Signed. Verified. The pizza wasn't sabotage, it was logic. Logic she'd never bother to read because she was too busy practicing her president voice in front of the mirror. Meanwhile, the entire app still refused to run properly without my private key tied to the LLC license she'd never properly terminated. Legal caught that around 1:17 p.m., according to another leaked email that somehow found its way to me. One of the board's paralegals had flagged clause 4.3, subsection C, the one I wrote myself 6 months earlier. Demo logic and payload management are tied to a non-transferable license registered under Sarah Thompson, LLC. Any modification or redistribution without explicit consent voids usage rights. Voids usage rights. That phrase made the entire board lose their collective minds. For what I heard through the grapevine, the emergency session got ugly fast. Someone from the real estate side actually cried real tears. One investor, potential buyer, demanded his earnest money deposit back on the spot. Another sent a memo titled Breach of Trust with my invoice attached. And the cherry on top? An email with the subject Restitution Proposal, Draft Only, Do Not Forward, landed in my inbox courtesy of the board's external counsel. While all this unfolded like a slow-motion train wreck in slow motion, I sat on my balcony with a sandwich and watched the neighborhood try to untangle itself from one lazy, arrogant assumption that I was disposable. What really set the fire, the part they couldn't even pin on me, was that I hadn't hacked anything. I hadn't sneaked back in. I hadn't changed a single character post-revocation. The system simply did what it was built to do. It recognized when its creator had been orphaned, and, like any good orphan, it screamed for its mother. And guess what? The mother didn't live in Pinecrest Estates anymore. A screenshot floated around the neighborhood Facebook group by 3 p.m., redacted image of the license clause with my initials barely blurred. Captioned, the demo was licensed. They forgot to read the fine print. The comments were brutal. Imagine firing the woman who built the entire system, then wondering why it serves pizza instead of progress. This is why you don't mess with the quiet ones who code. My personal favorite from a random dad. She didn't break the HOA, she was the HOA. I didn't respond. Didn't like. Didn't comment. Just watched it burn. Quiet. Still. Exactly as planned. The first message from Patricia arrived at 4:36 p.m. Subject, touching base, hoping to reconnect. No greeting. No apology. Just corporate desperation wrapped in pastel civility. It probably took her 15 drafts and 3 board members to hit the right tone of friendly, but not liable. Isada, I hope you're doing well. I realize there's been some unfortunate miscommunication, and I'd love to chat when you have a moment. We really valued your contributions and believe we may be able to find a way forward together. Signed with just her first name like we were still neighbors who borrowed sugar instead of lawsuits. I didn't answer. Anger burns out too fast. I was efficient, the same way I wrote code. If you want the system back, you do it on my time, under my terms. At 6:02 p.m., the second message arrived. Shorter. No preamble. Just 3 words in the body. Name your price. No subject line. No punctuación. The mask was finally off. I finished my sandwich, closed the laptop, and let her wait. Silence has gravity. Let remind her who holds the keys now. I let it sit overnight. The next morning at exactly 8 a.m., I replied with 4 lines. $1, $200 per hour. 10-hour minimum blocks billed in advance. No board access. No group chat invites. No proximity to anyone who once called me the tech girl. Confirm wire receipt before any discussion. No greeting. No signature. No emoji. Just the rate and the rules. Because this was never about ego. It was about ownership. They hadn't hired me. They'd rented me. Then they breached the lease. By 8:06 my phone buzzed. Unknown number straight to voicemail. Then the follow-up email. Please confirm availability for today's call. My reply was 2 words, wire first. Here's the thing no HOA president ever seems to understand. The IP was never theirs. My contract never assigned the code. It licensed deployment tied directly to my LLC. They were squatters on the illusion of control until I pulled the keys. When they revoked my access without terminating the license properly, they didn't just lose the app, they voided the clause that made it legal to run in the first place. Clause 6.2. License is revocable only upon mutual agreement or breach of payment terms. Guess what never happened? They never read that part. They thought cutting off my admin badge was the end. They never understood the only badge that mattered was the one in the get root. So now they paid up front, in silence. And maybe, just maybe, they get access to their own community portal again. But only if I felt like showing up. The community hall door hit the wall so hard it left a dent. That's how the emergency board meeting started, according to the texts that somehow reached me. Patricia tried to spin it before she even sat down, rattling off phrases like unexpected variables, legacy issues, and unauthorized overrides as if the room hadn't already seen the pizza gif on every phone in the neighborhood. But the residents weren't buying it. One of the newer dads, a stone-faced guy who'd moved in last month, interrupted with, "Your app launched a spinning pizza during the fee increase presentation. Explain that with fewer syllables." Patricia floundered, blamed rogue logic, tried insinuating I'd left something malicious in the pipeline. Said it fast, like volume could substitute for truth. That's when Lisa slid a printed stack across the table, my original documentation. Annotated, highlighted, time-stamped. Her voice didn't shake. "I told you about the failover condition twice. It's in the changelog and the handover notes. You just didn't read it." Silence thicker than Patricia's foundation. Then the board chair asked the only question that mattered. "So you're saying she didn't sabotage the demo? You did?" The vote happened fast. The email reached my inbox at 11:44 a.m. Subject, leadership transition. Body, effective immediately. Patricia Hardgrove will be stepping down as president. We thank her for her service. Short, sterile. The kind of message HR templates keep ready for exactly this flavor of public humiliation. And that call came at 11:56. Same number. No voicemail this time. I let it ring 4 times. Then picked up. She didn't start with a greeting. Didn't ask how I was. Just exhaled like she'd been holding her breath since the pizza appeared. I didn't say anything for a full 10 seconds. Let the silence stretch until it trembled. Then I spoke 2 words, send the transfer. I could hear her swallow, that dry, desperate swallow people make when they realize the check they're about to write isn't just financial, it's existential. She whispered, "Okay." I hung up. They thought they'd built themselves a community tool. They hadn't. They'd leased a leash. And the moment they cut it, they found themselves standing naked in the middle of their own perfectly manicured lawns. Confused and very, very exposed. File 5. The lobby of the community center looked exactly the same. Polished tile. Those dumb motivational posters in Helvetica. The faint smell of burnt coffee from the machine nobody knew how to clean. But this time I didn't need a badge. Security had my name on a printed list in all caps with a handwritten note. Escort to hall. Do not delay. They didn't ask for ID. They didn't ask for a signature. Just a stiff nod and a radio call. She's here. When the door opened, the board chair was waiting. No entourage. No handshake. Just him holding the door like a nervous valet. He didn't speak. Smart man. I stepped into the hall. The projector was already reset. All traces of the pizza incident scrubbed away. Cables coiled perfectly. Microphones tested. Residents seated again, trying to pretend they hadn't spent the last 48 hours laughing at Patricia's meltdown on neighborhood Facebook. The tension felt like heat before lightning. Everyone looked at me like I was radioactive and holy at the same time. No one offered me a chair. That was fine. I wasn't here to be comfortable. I walked straight to the terminal. Someone had set up a fresh laptop. Sanitized. Reset to factory specs like it hadn't just starred in the worst HOA meeting in Pinecrest history. Goo. I reached into my bag, pulled out the only thing that mattered, my encrypted USB. Black. Matte. Unlabeled. Plugged it in. The system recognized the drive like a dog recognizing its owner. I ran the local boot. The real one. The portal I'd spent a year building in pieces while they played musical chairs with ridiculous rules and slapped pastel bows on everything. The interface blinked on, fluid, responsive, intuitive. Violation reports loaded. Dues portals synced. Appeal buttons worked. Live event calendars updated in real time. Predictive notices pulled dummy data with accuracy so smooth the room leaned forward without realizing it. Everything, absolutely everything, just worked. No lag, no errors, no pizza, When it finished, no one clapped. They didn't need to. The silence was reverent. One dad in the back row-mouthed Jesus Christ to nobody in particular. I stepped back from the console. Didn't smile. Didn't bow. Just stood there. The board chair finally broke the quiet. We're thrilled to announce our recommitment to the original platform roadmap with Sarah Thompson, LLC, providing architecture oversight moving forward. He glanced at me like he wasn't sure whether to gesture toward me like a person or a natural disaster that had briefly paused over their subdivision. I didn't speak, just nodded once. From the back row, Lisa whispered what everyone else had already figured out. She was the whole system. Wasn't she? No one answered. They didn't have to. The new contract was 13 pages long. Half of it was clauses outlining how little access they'd have to me. No group chat invites. No surprise questions. No meetings unless prepaid in full. And definitely no proximity to anyone who once called me the tech girl. I sat across from the board chair in a room they'd renamed Harmony after the rebrand. The irony was exhausting. He signed with the careful hand of a man who knows every letter costs money. Each stroke marked a defeat and a transaction. I took the folder, closed it, stood. The chair rose reflexively. "We're glad to have you back," he said. "You don't," I replied, slinging my bag over one shoulder. "You have the work, not me." He didn't argue. As I walked past the glass wall, separating the meeting room from the residents' seating area, a few people looked up. Some looked embarrassed. Some looked relieved. A couple looked like they wanted to say something. I didn't stop. I wasn't here for recognition. I wasn't here for closure. I was here for control. Back in my apartment, I poured a drink, opened my laptop, checked the wire transfer, cleared. Good. Then I opened the neighborhood group chat. My personal repo, the public mirror, had spiked in activity. The pizza payload branch had gone semi-viral. Someone had even forked it into a custom violation notice bot. Pinned at the top was a comment under my README. "Next time, tip your dev." I clicked like, closed the tab, and let the silence fill the room like a perfectly balanced server hum. They thought they could cut me out of Pinecrest Estates. But I wasn't a plugin. I was the platform. And the neighborhood would never forget who really kept the grass exactly 2.5 inches on my terms.